J.J. Perry, the creator of Netflix's Day Shift, is a well-known stuntman and second-unit director in Hollywood who has worked on films including the Fast and Furious series, John Wick films, and the Shadow and Bone TV series. The ending of his directorial debut leaves room for prospective sequels, just like his prior films. The story is set in the San Fernando Valley and centers on Bud Jablonski, Jamie Foxx. The world, including his daughter and estranged wife, believe he owns a pool cleaning company. He is actually one of California's most skilled vampire hunters. Bud persuades his ex-wife Jocelyn, Meagan Good, to give him a few days so he can collect the money they need for their daughter Paige's school tuition and braces before she decides to move to Florida due to the escalating costs. Audrey, Carla Souza, an old and formidable vampire, learns that Bud killed her daughter and resolves to exact revenge on him. Bud might initially seem to be just another blue-collar father in a big city like Los Angeles. In a place where the expense of living seems to be beyond the means of the average guy, he fights to make ends meet. Although Bud has troubles like an ordinary man, he is not an ordinary man. Bud is a vampire hunter, and he is quite good at it. As previously stated, neither Jocelyn nor Paige are aware of this. Both believe he runs a pool cleaning company. Even though the narrative for Day Shift is not original, the world building is very complex. The vampires and the Vampire Hunter Union are the two main parties involved in conflict. Bud is not a union member at the beginning of the movie. He used to be a part of it, but it appears that his dismissal was caused by his behavior, careless attitude, and overall contempt for the organization's policies and procedures. There are 5 different sorts of vampires in Day Shift: Southern, Eastern, Spider, Uber, and Juvenile. Vampires are mostly solitary creatures, although in groups, a clear hierarchy based on age emerges. Because they are unable to breed, vampires grow their population through converting people. The more powerful vampires have stronger familiars. Vampires have familiars. The only thing that vampires in Day Shift fear is the sun, although they have started wearing sunscreen, which allows them to briefly be in the sun. They are poisoned by wood, and silver weapons are lethal to them. Vampires should avoid using garlic. Bud learns about Jocelyn's choice after killing 2 vampires, including one who resembles an elderly woman, and removing their fangs. He travels to Troy in an effort to sell the fangs since he needs money badly. Bud begs Big John Elliott, Snoop Dogg, a renowned hunter and old friend, for assistance in rejoining the union because Troy's offer is too low. Ralph Seeger, the current leader of the union's Los Angeles branch, reluctantly permits Bud entry but cautions him that he will be permanently suspended if he breaks even one of the union's rules. Additionally, Seeger assigns Seth, Dave Franco, an office assistant who has never worked in the field, to join Bud on each expedition. When Seth expresses his concerns, Seeger assures him that Seth will be promoted if he succeeds in ousting Bud. However, not all of what is going on in the Los Angeles vampire subculture is made explicit in this movie. Audrey reveals that vampires were revered as gods and performed blood sacrifices during the times of Aztec. Her main goal is to reinstate that order in the globe. The elderly vampire that Bud kills at the start of the film is revealed to be Audrey's daughter. Audrey starts down a road of vengeance after learning what has happened. Before killing Troy, she tortures him and discovers Bud's whereabouts. Bud helps his family out. The fight between the Union and vampires is being fought all across the planet, as we learn during the course of the movie. Besides Bud and Seth, at least 3 other vampire hunters are introduced in the movie. Bud receives assistance from the Nazarian brothers, Steve Howe and Scott Adkins, in eradicating a vampire nest, while Big John is essential in helping Bud reclaim his family. He appears to give his life while battling some of Audrey's minions, but the movie's ending reveals that he is still alive, suggesting that he is a vampire as well. Audrey is an Uber vampire. The 2 most efficient methods for killing vampires are decapitation and fire, though hunters are hesitant to employ the latter because it damages the fangs. Additionally, beheading alone is ineffective against Uber vampires. A hunter must use wood to stab a Uber vampire's heart before using silver to decapitate them. What occurs with Audrey is that Bud initially falls short of Audrey's expectations. Jocelyn then stabs Audrey in the back with a wooden stick. Then, after tricking Audrey into charging at him, Bud uses his silver-plated wire to cut off her head. Bud can stay in Los Angeles given how many fangs he has gained throughout the entire ordeal. Jocelyn and Paige can also. There remains hope for the future, even though he and Jocelyn don't instantly make amends. Bud swears that from this moment on, he will be honest with Jocelyn. Audrey is an Uber vampire, as was already mentioned. She is acquiring properties in the valley under the guise of being a high-end realtor in order to relocate vampires among humans. Within a year, she plans to usurp the enigmatic 700-year-old vampire known as LG from his position as leader of all vampires in Los Angeles. In order to keep an eye on Bud, she sends Heather, a vampire she transformed. Heather deviates, though, and joins Bud and Seth in their attempt to save Bud's family. Audrey came to the US before her daughter. When she finally went back, her daughter was considerably old. This is why she looks much older than her mother. Audrey's original intention has been to create a vampiric utopia for her daughter. She knows that there will be conflicts with other vampires, including Elgif. That's why we see vampire-killing bullets in her storage. She has been ready for every possible scenario, but her desire for vengeance ultimately proves her undoing. Seth is turned into a vampire, likely by Audrey. As Audrey is an Uber vampire, Seth becomes one as well. This is why he survives even after Bud decapitates him. Initially, he is very unpredictable and even tries to attack involuntarily. But he quickly gains control over himself and participates in the night shift attack against Audrey and her underlings. While Bud fights Audrey, Seth and Heather take on Klaus, Audrey's right-hand vampire. They eventually rip Klaus's hands out, and then Seth proceeds to kill him. He then assists Bud in handling Seeger. Seth says he now chooses to work in the field after Seeger warns him that he won't attain the promotion he wanted.